Hi there, my name is Kat and today I have a review on an eyeshadow palette right here. This is one of the, I guess they're called color boards. I don't remember seeing that on the website, but that's what it says on the little palette. This one was the Dusk kit, and I think they had a Dawn one, and they have these curated palettes that go into rotation. But if you don't know, these are singles, and this is a magnetic palette. So these do pop out and back in, and I have filmed a couple looks with this palette. Today I used the palette, and I have to say I was really happy. The two other times I filmed, I really liked the neutral looks that I came out with. You can see this is a neutral palette with Pop of Blue, and this is how they had it laid out on the website. You'll see when I used it, I had it laid out differently, and that's kind of a plus to palettes like this, or magnetic palettes. And just as an FYI, they do sell bigger palettes by themselves, and you know, you can buy the palettes by themselves, and then you can see that these fit a lot of shadows, and I think these are really nice sturdy palettes, and I'm happy to have these in my collection. But moving on to the most important part, which is the shadows. See what they look like here, and they have different finishes. These three in these corners are what they call lusters, so they have three finishes: L, P, which is for pearl, which are these three, and then this one are pearl, and then these two are matte. So for me, I would have liked to have one more matte, maybe a light matte. I did use just these to do the look, and I can definitely get a look out of them. And then you can see these, I feel like I could have ditched one of these because they're kind of similar, and these are both the pearl finish. One is maybe just a little bit more bright, so you can see those two. Like, I feel like they could have swapped one of those out for another matte or maybe a different color, because the way, I don't know, I feel like they could have just made this a neutral palette, or maybe just gotten rid of the blue, because this is the only shadow I've had a problem with. And you know, it swatches okay in a finger swatch, but on the eyes it was a struggle to work with. You'll see that in the demos that I do, but it just was a pain in the butt. It was hard to blend. I like to use my finger, but I tried 3 ways, 4 ways. I tried it with a dry brush, I tried it with a wet brush, I tried it with my finger and with a wet finger, and I really was never happy with the way it looked. And then trying to blend out the edges, it was just really difficult. I don't know, I'm just not really happy with the blue, so I did have trouble with that, but all the other looks I was super happy with. If you want to compare these to other shadows, they're good. They're a nice foundation. If you frequent the Shop Miss A site, if you buy a couple of these, you could really have a nice little kit of shadows. And then you have these palettes lying around. I think this would be a really nice thing for beginners or people who are more familiar with makeup. So I would definitely recommend, if you see one of these that you like, because this isn't necessarily a review on this palette specifically, even though it is, but this is out of stock, and I don't think they're going to bring it back, because they do lots of these curated kits, and they always have their singles on the website. I think they're $2.50. So this is P8, so it's a pearl finish. It's really, you know, I don't know, not doing it for me. You can see when it blends out, it just looks really meh. And, you know, I love every single other shadow in there. I feel like they all are doing good things for me besides this one. If you're looking for a blue, like if you saw this palette and were like, ooh, that blue, wow, it's not very good. So a fantastic blue is from Juvia's Place. If you haven't tried these palettes, I would definitely recommend checking them out, and if you see one you like, I would go for it. But this shade right here is called Cleopatra, and it's a pretty similar shade, you know, just looking at them in the pan. They look very similar in the pan, but when you swatch this, that's what a shimmer shade should be doing for you. Like this compared to this. I mean, I know I kind of blended the first one out a little bit, but I can put another layer just to show you. Like, it's not awful, but it's not good, like, especially on the eye. Okay, so in conclusion, do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. This little kit is $10 and you get 9 shadows and the palette. Okay, so I just did a little bit of math, and if you bought this palette at $4, one of these plain white palettes is $4, and if you bought 9 shadows at $2.50 each, that would put you at $26.50. So if you think about it, this is an amazing value. It's $10 for this. I think it is a good investment to get single shadows, and you know, if you don't even like the shadows, which I'm sure you'll find at least a couple in here that you like, then you have a nice little like travel magnetic palette, which you can put products in that you may just happen to get from, you know, ColourPop, whatever, because they're the same size in like width. So bottom line, would I recommend this palette or these palettes in general? Yes, I absolutely would. If you like the shades, I would go for it, because it's a really good value and it's a really great thing to have in your collection, I think, because regardless of if you end up not loving the shadows, then you get the palette and you can put anything that is magnetic in the palette, and that's a pretty nice thing. So I will go into my demos and my the legit swatches. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Okay, so now we're moving on to the little demo portion. I have to say, I didn't really mention it in the beginning part, I don't know why, but the mattes, the 2 mattes that are in here, are so good and so easy to blend. You can see I think I used both matte shades in every look I did. There are 3 looks, so this section may seem kind of long, but I really wanted to show you how the shadows work. These definitely aren't tutorials, none of these eye looks are revolutionary, but I just wanted to include me working with the shadows so you can see how it works. You can see this blue shade. I know I talked about it way longer than I should have, but you can see I went in with a dry brush, went in with a wet brush. It was okay, but there's just, you know, other things on the market that are better, so just something to look out for if you get a dud in one of these little palettes. You know, you didn't waste that much money, but it's just something to keep in mind. Don't buy the blue as a single. That's what I'm saying. So you can see I even sprayed my finger with setting spray, and it was okay. You can see initially going on, but then when I went in to, you know, blend the rest of my look, I cut out a bunch of footage because I had to work really hard to get it to this patchy, not cute state. But like when I blended, the blue just disappeared, and the other shades didn't do that. And then kind of what saved the look was putting one of the lusters on top. It just kind of smoothed everything over. It was almost like what a lip gloss does for your lips on my eyes. So you can see what the look looked like without mascara on. And then here's it with mascara. I guess it all came together, but also I wouldn't leave the house like that. So there's something. And oh, here's my next look. This was like a very much so everyday simple look, and you can see that my skin was so dry that I had a couple like little crusty bits on my eyelid, but these still blended fine, and I think other shadows might not necessarily work well on top of my crusty eyelids. Sorry if it grosses you out, but you can see I used that big brush, and that dark matte blended seamlessly with that kind of mid-tone matte, and I'm using an e.l.f. brush right here, one of the $3 brushes, and it's good stuff. Those mattes are good stuff. And I also really like the lusters. The pearls, I can kind of take or leave them, so if you're interested in the singles, I would definitely try a couple of the mattes, because everyone always says that it's easier to do a shimmer than a matte. I've heard that in reviews before, but Shop Miss A really delivered with the mattes on these. So here's the finished look. You can see I did my brow and my mascara, and I think that's a really pretty little look that I got with just 4 shadows. So yeah, that one's a winner. And then here's my last look. I know my nose contour is so awful, please forgive me, but with this one I wanted to do kind of like a 90s inspired smoky eye. I just put a bunch of those two matte shades kind of mixed together all over my lid, and then did like a little bit of a winged out brown smoky eye, and you can see that I achieved this so easily. In the next clip, I'm using this super cheap brush that I've had for such a long time, and it just blended my edges of my shadow like perfectly. It was like, I can't say enough good things about the mattes because they really worked for me. You can see at this stage I've only used the mattes, and you can see like how nice they looked just by themselves like that. And I did use the darker shade M13 as a little bit of like a liner. I used a little like push liner brush and put that on my lower lash line. And of course blended it because we don't like harsh edges here. And then I took that kind of taupey shimmery shade, which went really nice with those other mattes. They're very, very cool taupey browns, both of them. One's just darker. And then I took a teeny bit of that light white shimmer, which is another really good shade, and you can see the finished look here. And now I have a couple pictures of the palette just in case you wanted to see those. And then at the very end I have some swatches. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye-bye.